As the total value locked in DeFi continues to rise, many are starting to wonder just how much adoption its various protocols could see in the coming years. This fundamentally boils down to the utility of the features they offer and the protections they put in place for their users. Aave has been on the cutting edge of DeFi in this regard. It has introduced some of the most valuable money Legos to the DeFi space, and Aave's founder, Stani Kulechov, has been obsessed with risk management and user protection since day one. The proof is in the pudding. $3 billion worth of cryptocurrency is locked on Aave alone, and the Aave token is currently the largest DeFi cryptocurrency by market cap. So today I'm going to explain why this is just the beginning and why Aave has the potential to not just become the largest DeFi protocol, but one of the most valuable crypto projects in the world. Close your other tabs because what I'm about to say is something you do not want to miss. Before we head off to the yield farms, I need to remind you all that I am not a financial advisor, and so nothing in this video should be considered financial or investment advice. Now, I know you guys have been begging for a Coin Bureau t-shirt that says just that, and I promise it's in the works. In case you're new here, my name is Guy, and many consider me to be the crypto guy. That's because I spend my days and nights crafting crypto content you won't get anywhere else. No-nonsense reviews of cryptocurrencies, detailed deep dives into DeFi protocols, in-depth analyses of regulatory risks, and useful guides to help you get the most out of the crypto market. So if this sounds like what you've been looking for, then join me in my quest for crypto knowledge by hitting that subscribe button. Pinging that notification bell will make sure these videos don't slip through the cracks of the YouTube algorithm. And speaking of cracks, I've got a few to show you. I am, of course, speaking about the video timestamps you see down there. So feel free to use those to get around if you're on the hunt for something specific. All right, that's quite enough introduction. Let's see what Aave has been up to and where it's headed. It's been just over a year since the Aave protocol launched, and a lot has changed since then. To fully appreciate the significance of these changes, you need to be familiar with how Aave works. Aave is a decentralized cryptocurrency lending and borrowing platform built on the Ethereum blockchain. In true crypto fashion, no KYC, credit checks, or any other sort of documentation is required to use Aave. All you need is an internet connection and a Web3 wallet like MetaMask. Aave currently offers borrowing and lending for 22 different ERC20 tokens, including USDT, USDC, ETH, and Link. Lenders can deposit any one of these ERC20 tokens on Aave and earn interest on those funds. The interest lenders earn comes from the interest being paid by borrowers who are borrowing that ERC20 token. Interest rates earned by lenders and owed by borrowers fluctuate depending on the demand for that asset and can range from less than 1% to well over 20% per year. That said, Aave also offers a stable interest rate on borrowed tokens that comes from the 30-day average for that asset. Naturally, the interest rates are always higher for borrowers. To ensure that these borrowed funds are actually paid back, borrowers must deposit more ERC20 tokens than they're borrowing in US dollars. This is called over-collateralization, and borrowers can withdraw up to 75% of the USD value of the ERC20 tokens they deposited. Here's a simple example of how this works. Let's assume 1 ETH costs $1,000. Suppose you have 1 ETH and want to borrow some USDC to buy more ETH because you think it's going to go up. When you deposit that 1 ETH into Aave, you can borrow 750 USDC, which is 75% of the USD value of the ETH you deposited. What happens if the value of your ETH collateral goes down? You get partially or fully liquidated. In other words, the Aave protocol automatically sells your ETH to ensure the protocol remains stable. Even though there is technically no limit on how long you can borrow that USDC for, if the interest you're piling up starts to exceed that 75% USD withdrawal threshold, you again risk being liquidated. But that's not all. Whenever you lend an ERC20 token on Aave, you are given an equivalent amount of interest-bearing A tokens that can be freely traded behind the scenes on dexes like Uniswap. This can be a bit of a mind-bender, but consider that the A tokens you're given just represent the actual funds you locked on Aave. This means that if you trade off your A tokens on a DEX, whoever receives those A tokens can then go in and claim the crypto you deposited on Aave if they so choose. Now, if you're feeling a bit lost, I strongly recommend watching my video about how Aave works by clicking up there in the top right. The day after my last video about Aave, they revealed their magnum opus, the Aavenomics. In a nutshell, the Aavenomics sought to completely redesign Aave's ecosystem and economic incentives to prioritize the protocol's security, sustainability, and growth. The first Aavenomics change is one many of you are probably familiar with, and that's the migration and redenomination of their token from Lend to Aave. This process began on October 2nd, 2020, and about 94% of all Lend tokens have since been converted to Aave tokens at a ratio of 100 to 1. Of Aave's initial supply of 16 million, 13 million Aave were put in the hands of the community, and 3 million Aave were allocated to the Aave Reserve. More on that in a moment. The second Aavenomics change was the introduction of Aave staking, which launched on the same day that the Lend migration began. The purpose of staking on Aave is to support something called the safety module. The safety module basically acts as a sort of insurance plan for the entire Aave protocol to protect user funds from black swan events like that flash crash in March. If this sort of, quote, shortfall event happens, 30% of the Aave being staked is slashed to restore balance to the protocol. Although Aave staking has been live since October, this slashing risk was only recently enabled. In exchange for taking on this risk, Aave stakers earn an annual interest of about 5% per year paid in Aave, and can also earn a percentage of protocol fees if and when this is approved by a majority of Aave token holders. That's right, the third Aavenomics change was the introduction of a governance mechanism. Now that said, Aave is not a decentralized autonomous organization, at least not yet. Initially, only Aave's original team members were allowed to table Aave improvement proposals, or AIPs. The ability to table AIPs was opened up to the entire Aave community in December 2020. And AIPs can be vetoed by a group of individuals known as the Guardians, if they suspect the code to be malicious. Aave token holders can vote to change protocol policies like changes to the governance structure, and market policies like borrowing limits and liquidation parameters. Once an AIP is approved, the funds required to implement the AIP are automatically allocated to the Aave team from the Aave Reserve. Aave's governance structure is actually much more elaborate than I make it seem, and I encourage you to take a closer look if you have the time. I'll leave some links in the description for you. There have been 7 AIPs so far, and an 8th AIP appears to be underway. A proposal tabled by Delphi Digital, a VC firm, which is urging the Aave community to change the insurance mechanism of the safety module. The short of it is that they believe lenders and borrowers should have the option to opt into this insurance, given that each new market on Aave carries, quote, systemic risk. If this proposal is passed, we could see Aave's safety module become its own decentralized insurance service, putting it in direct competition with similar crypto insurance projects like Nexus Mutual. And this is just the tip of the Aave iceberg. At the end of August, Aave briefly became the largest DeFi protocol, overtaking MakerDAO. It's remained in the top 3 DeFi protocols since that time, and is currently ranked second. In August, Aave founder Stani Kolechov revealed that his biggest motivation for putting together the Aavenomics was to make institutional investors more comfortable with DeFi, something which is quite frankly not being done by any other DeFi protocol. This is also why Aave is in the process of receiving the necessary licenses it needs to make it possible for users to buy assets in Aave directly using fiat. Aave received the first of these licenses in July from the UK Financial Conduct Authority. This milestone was not revealed until later in August, and in a subsequent interview with the block Crypto, Stani noted that Aave had received, quote, the same authorization that Coinbase and Revolut have in Europe, and that, quote, Aave will pilot in the UK before rolling out to cover the whole EEA and expanding globally. Now, this must have caught the attention of the right people because Aave received over $25 million in funding from various venture capital firms in October. According to Stani, the purpose of these funds is to bring in more institutions and expand Aave's operations into Asia. For those who didn't make the connection, Aave is currently based here in London. So, if you chaps are watching, come by and have a cup of tea sometime. In November, Aave made its first investment since 2018 by throwing money at the developers behind an Aave-themed Ethereum NFT game called Aavegotchi. Aavegotchi NFTs are created using Aave's interest-bearing A tokens. Every Aavegotchi comes with its own rarity, which is randomly assigned when it is born, and you're also able to customize the appearance of your Aavegotchi. Now, that said, it's not entirely clear how Aavegotchi will work going forward, given that its launch was recently delayed due to high Ethereum gas fees, and will now instead be launching on the Matic network. NFT shenanigans aside, the last Aave update I want to cover today is by far the most significant, and that is the launch of Aave version 2. On December the 3rd, Aave officially launched the second version of its protocol, Aave v2. Aave v2 contains an omnibus of new features that are nothing short of incredible, and all of the v2 code has been audited by 4 reputable companies. The first feature is collateral swaps. This makes it possible for borrowers to instantly change the collateral they are borrowing against. So if you recall my previous example with the $1,000 in ETH, Aave v2 makes it possible to swap that ETH to a stablecoin like USDT or USDC if the value of your collateral starts to fall. The second feature is debt repayment with collateral. In Aave v1, when you deposit ETH and take out a loan in USDC, you have to pay back the USDC you borrowed plus interest to claim your ETH collateral. In Aave v2, you can actually choose to keep the USDC you've borrowed and use part of your ETH collateral to pay back the loan instead. The third feature is debt tokenization. You'll recall that in Aave v1, whenever you lend your ERC20 tokens, you're given back an equivalent amount of interest-bearing A tokens. Well, in Aave v2, you will now also be given A tokens that accrue debt whenever you borrow an ERC20 token. These A tokens can also be traded on DEXs. Now, if you're wondering why on earth anyone would want to hold a token that accrues debt in real time, look no further than the fourth feature of Aave v2, native credit delegation. In short, native credit delegation makes it possible for you to delegate your unused credit. The idea is that if people who are lending on Aave can trade the A tokens they're given, then why not make it possible for them to lend those A tokens to other third parties and earn even more interest? The crazy thing is that these delegated crypto loans do not need to be over-collateralized. So, for example, if you lend 1,000 USDC on Aave and receive 1,000 AUSD, you can lend that 1,000 AUSD to someone without them having to provide any collateral at all. Obviously, it would be best to do this sort of lending with people you know and trust. But smart contract legal services like OpenLaw make it possible to create legally enforceable loan agreements with strangers. This makes it possible to take that stranger to court IRL if they fail to pay back your loan of A tokens. Now, if you think this is a brain teaser, just wait till you hear about Aave v2's fifth feature, batched flash loans. This makes it possible for you to borrow multiple ERC20 tokens in a single flash loan. In Aave v1, you were only able to borrow a single asset. While this is very good news for DeFi degens who know how to use flash loans, any shoddy DeFi protocols should be on their guard lest they be absolutely wrecked by a face-melting arbitrage trade. Now, in addition to these features, Aave v2 is designed to optimize Ethereum gas fees. Stanny argues that this focus on gas optimization is one of the secrets to Aave's success. Now, I know what you're thinking. What do all these new developments mean for the future price action of the Aave token? Compared to other DeFi cryptocurrencies, Aave has incredibly robust tokenomics. For starters, most of its circulating supply is in the hands of the community. You could argue that the entire supply is in the hands of the community, given that the Aave Reserve is also owned and operated by the Aave community. Aave also has a small supply relative to most other DeFi tokens. 60 million Aave is not much, and especially not when 3 million of those tokens are out of circulation. I reckon these factors are a large part of why Aave has quadrupled in price since its October debut. Aave is also not nearly as inflationary as other DeFi tokens. This is because the yield that's earned on the Aave protocol comes entirely from the assets being lent in it. This is in stark contrast to DeFi protocols like Curve Finance, where CRV tokens are constantly being printed to reward liquidity providers. This relentless token printing is why I am personally not too keen on holding most DeFi cryptos. Based on my calculations, Aave has an annual inflation rate of about 1.2% per year, which is peanuts compared to the double-digit inflation you see in some of the largest non-DeFi crypto coins. Moreover, Aave actually has tangible use cases. It can be staked to earn an annual interest rate of 5% per year, and gives its holders governance over the protocol itself. Finally, the fact that Aave stakers can lose 30% of their stake if something goes wrong with the protocol gives them a huge incentive to make absolutely sure that any changes to the protocol are both safe and sustainable. This is likely a part of why Aave is one of the safest DeFi protocols, according to The Gauntlet, a company which simulates interactions with dApps, DEXs, and DeFi protocols. With such an unbelievably solid foundation, I think that the future is looking pretty damn bullish for the Aave protocol and the Aave token. I reckon it's only a matter of time before the project makes headways in Asia, and there is no doubt that this bull market will bring in the sort of institutional eyes Aave is ready to flatter. For these reasons, I believe that Aave will likely be one of the top cryptocurrencies by market cap by the end of 2021. Let's just hope the Ethereum network will be able to handle the traffic. There's no denying that Aave is a juggernaut in the DeFi space. I think it's very likely that we will see Aave start to offer decentralized insurance via its safety module. After all, this bull market is going to be wave after wave of volatility, and DeFi users are going to need trusted protection. Likewise, once the word gets out that you can earn incredible yield on your assets and execute multi-million-dollar arbitrage trades using flash loans, the institutional investors are going to start pouring in. This is something that Aave has been preparing for since it launched, and they will be able to point to their robust economic incentives, built-in insurance, and world-class audits when these suit and tie types start to ask about whether their funds will be safe. I find it amazing that Aave's reception of an electronic money license from financial regulators in the UK didn't turn more heads in the crypto space. Apparently, Aave had been working to get that license since 2018, and I imagine it was no easy task, given that it's trying to completely redefine the world of finance. The release of Aave v2 is no doubt a step in that direction. I would even go as far as to call it a leap. Now, I only scratched the surface of what Aave v2 is capable of. The fact that you are now able to trade your tokenized credit and debt is huge. Debt is purchased all the time in the real world, usually in the form of government bonds, which is basically just government debt. Now, while I don't think we will see government bonds being offered on Aave anytime soon, the door to those sorts of markets has now been opened. And don't even get me started about the possibility of using NFTs or tokenized real estate as collateral on Aave. Just know that it's coming sooner or later. The best part is that by the time Aave gets some serious global traction, the Aave token will probably still have a small supply and next to no inflation. Imagine what the demand for Aave will be in the future. A token with bulletproof tokenomics that represents a stake in a bulletproof financial protocol is a no-brainer in my books. That's Aave for you. If you enjoyed this video, give this channel a boost by smashing that like button. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already and ping that notification bell to get a nudge the next time I'm in your neighborhood. Also, you should know that YouTube isn't the only place you can find me. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram to get my hot takes in real time and sneak a peek behind the scenes at the Coin Bureau HQ. I also have a Telegram channel where I post daily market insights and updates. If you're looking for that little extra something in your crypto curriculum, then I think my weekly newsletter is what you need. It's a spam-free collection of crispy crypto insights that you need to make the most of this bull market. If you're already subscribed to my newsletter, drop a comment in the description to let everyone know just how amazing it is. And finally, if you want to get yourself a t-shirt like this one, then head over to the Coin Bureau merch store. All the proceeds goes towards growing this channel and bringing you more of the crypto content you love. You'll find the links to my merch store, newsletter, and my socials in the video description. That's all for today, my friends. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.